Alice in Wonderland as a poem. Chapter 4. The Rabbit Sends in a Little Bill. It's the White Rabbit, trotting slowly back again and looking anxiously about it as it goes, as if it's lost something, and she hears it muttering to itself, "The Duchess, the Duchess, oh my dear paws, oh my fur and whiskers, she'll get me executed, as sure as ferrets are ferrets. Where can I have dropped them, I wonder?" Alice guesses in a moment that it's looking for the fan and the pair of white kid gloves, and she very good-naturedly begins hunting about for them, but they're nowhere to be seen. Everything seems to have changed since her swim in the pool, and the great hall itself, with the glass table and the little door, has vanished completely. Soon the rabbit spots Alice as she goes hunting about, and calls to her angrily, "Why, Mary Ann, what are you doing out here? Run home this moment and fetch me a pair of gloves and a fan. Quick now!" And Alice is so frightened that she runs off at once in the direction it pointed to, without trying to explain the mistake it has made. "He took me for his housemaid. Imagine how surprised he'll be when he finds out who I am. But I'd better take him his fan and gloves, if I can find them, that is." As she says this, she comes upon a neat little house, on the door of which is a bright brass plate with the name W. Rabbit engraved upon it. She enters without knocking, and hurries upstairs in great fear lest she meet the real Mary Ann and be turned out of the house before she's found the fan and gloves. How queer it seems to be running messages for a rabbit. I suppose Dinah will be sending me on errands next. And she begins fancying the sort of thing that would happen. "Miss Alice, come here directly and get ready for your walk." "Coming in a minute, nurse, but I've got to see that the mouse doesn't get out." Only I don't think they'd let Dinah stop in the house if it began to order people about like that. By this time she's found her way into a tidy little room with a table in the window, and on it, as she's been hoping, a fan and 2 or 3 pairs of tiny white kid gloves. She picks up the fan and a pair of the gloves, and is just about to leave the room when her eye falls upon a little bottle standing near the looking-glass. There's no label this time with the words "Drink me," but even so she uncorks it and puts it to her lips. I know something interesting is sure to happen whenever I eat or drink anything, so I'll just see what this bottle does. I do hope it'll make me grow large again, for really I'm rather tired of being such a tiny thing. It does indeed, and much sooner than she expects. Before she's drunk half the bottle, she finds her head pressing against the ceiling and has to stoop to save her neck from being broken. Hastily, she puts down the bottle. "That's quite enough. I hope I shan't grow any more. As it is, I can't get out of the door. I do wish I hadn't drunk quite so much." Alas, it's too late to wish that. She goes on growing and growing, and soon has to kneel on the floor. In another minute there's not even room for that, and she tries the effect of lying down with one elbow against the door and the other arm curled round her head. Still she goes on growing, and as a last resort, puts one arm out of the window and one foot up the chimney. Now I can't do any more, whatever happens. What will become of me? Luckily, the magic bottle has now had its full effect, and she grows no larger. Still, it's very uncomfortable, and as there seems to be no chance of her ever getting out of the room again, no wonder she feels unhappy. It was much pleasanter at home, when one wasn't always growing larger and smaller and being ordered about by mice and rabbits. I almost wish I hadn't gone down that rabbit hole. And yet, it's rather curious, this sort of life. I do wonder what can have happened to me. I fancied that kind of thing never happened when I used to read fairy tales, and now here I am in the middle of one. There ought to be a book written about me, that there ought. And when I grow up, I'll write one. But I'm grown up now, at least. There's no room to grow up any more here. But then, shall I never get any older than I am now? That'll be a comfort one way, never to be an old woman, but then always to have lessons to learn. Oh, I shouldn't like that. Oh, you foolish Alice, how can you learn lessons in here? Why, there's hardly room for you, and no room for any lesson books. And so she goes on, taking first one side and then the other, and making quite a conversation of it altogether. But after a few minutes she hears a voice outside and stops to listen. "Marianne, Marianne, fetch me my gloves this moment." Then a pattering of feet on the stairs. Alice knows it's the rabbit coming to look for her, and she trembles till she shakes the house, forgetting she's now about 1,000 times as large as the rabbit, and has no reason to be afraid of it. Now the rabbit is at the door and is trying to open it. But as the door opens inwards, and Alice's elbow is pressed against it, that attempt proves a failure. Alice hears it say to itself, "Then I'll go round and get in at the window." That you won't. And after waiting till she fancies she hears the rabbit just under the window, she spreads out her hand and makes a snatch in the air. She doesn't catch anything, but hears a little shriek and a fall and a crash of broken glass, from which she concludes it's just possible it's fallen into a cucumber frame or something of the sort. Next comes an angry voice, the rabbit's. "Pat, Pat, where are you?" And then a voice she hasn't heard before. "Sure, then I'm here, digging for apples, your honour." "Digging for apples, indeed," grumbles the rabbit. "Here, come and help me out of this." Sounds of more broken glass. "Now tell me, Pat, what's that in the window?" "Sure, it's an arm, your honour." He pronounces it arm. "An arm, you goose! Who's ever seen one that size? Why, it fills the whole window." "Sure it does, your honour, but it's an arm for all that." "Well, it's got no business there, at any rate. Go and take it away." A long silence, and Alice can only hear whispers now and then, such as, "Sure, I don't like it, your honour, at all, at all." "Do as I tell you, you coward." And at last she spreads out her hand again and makes another snatch in the air. This time there are 2 little shrieks and more sounds of broken glass. What a number of cucumber frames there must be. I wonder what they'll do next. As for pulling me out of the window, I only wish they could. I'm sure I don't want to stay in here any longer. After some time, there's a rumbling of little cartwheels and the sound of a good many voices all talking together, and she makes out the words, "Where's the other ladder? Why, I hadn't to bring but one. Bill's got the other. Bill, fetch it here. Put 'em up at this corner. No, tie 'em together first. They don't reach half high enough yet. Oh, they'll do well enough. Don't be particular. Here, Bill, catch hold of this rope. Will the roof bear? Mind that loose slate. Oh, it's coming down. Heads below. A loud crash. Now who did that? It was Bill, I fancy. Who's to go down the chimney? Nay, I shan't. You do it. That I won't then. Bill's to go down. Here, Bill, the master says you're to go down the chimney. Oh, so Bill's got to come down the chimney, has he? Shy. They seem to put everything on Bill. I wouldn't be in Bill's place for a good deal. This fireplace is narrow, to be sure, but I think I can kick a little. She draws her foot as far down the chimney as she can and waits till she hears in the chimney a little animal scratching and scrambling about. Then, saying to herself, "This is Bill," she gives one sharp kick and waits to see what will happen next. After a few seconds, she hears a chorus of "There goes Bill." Then the rabbit's voice, "Catch him, you by the hedge." Then silence. Then another confusion of voices, "Hold up his head." "Brandy now. Don't choke him. How was it, old fellow? What happened to you? Tell us all about it." Last came a little feeble, squeaking voice. "That's Bill." "Well, I hardly know. No more, thank ye. I'm better now, but I'm a deal too flustered to tell ye. All I know is that something comes at me like a jack in the box, and I up and goes like a skyrocket." "So you did, old fellow." "We must burn the house down," says the rabbit's voice, at which Alice shouts as loud as she can, "If you do, I'll set Dinah at you." Dead silence. I wonder what they will do next. If they had any sense, they'd take the roof off. After a minute or two, they begin moving again, and Alice hears the rabbit say, "A barrowful will do to begin with." A barrowful of what? But she soon finds out. The next moment a shower of little pebbles comes rattling through the window, some of them hitting her in the face. "I'll put a stop to this." "You'd better not do that again," she shouts, followed once more by dead silence. She notices with some surprise that the pebbles are all turning into little cakes as they lie on the floor, and a bright idea comes into her head. If I eat one of these cakes, it's sure to make some change in my size, and as it can't possibly make me larger, it must make me smaller, I suppose. So she swallows one of the cakes and is delighted to find that she immediately begins to shrink. As soon as she is small enough to get through the door, she runs out of the house, where she finds quite a crowd of little animals and birds waiting. Poor little lizard Bill is in the middle, being propped up by two guinea pigs who are giving it something out of a bottle. They all make a rush at Alice the moment she appears, but she runs off as hard as she can and soon finds herself safe in a thick wood. The first thing I've got to do, she thinks as she wanders about in the wood, is to grow to my right size again. And the second thing is to find my way into that lovely garden. I think that will be my best plan. It sounds an excellent plan, no doubt, and very neatly and simply arranged. The only difficulty is that she hasn't the slightest idea of how to set about it, and while she's peering about anxiously among the trees, a little sharp bark just above her head makes her look up hurriedly. An enormous puppy is looking down at her with large round eyes and feebly stretching out one paw, trying to touch her. Poor little thing, says Alice coaxingly, and she tries hard to whistle to it, but she's terribly frightened all the time at the thought that it might be hungry, in which case it would be very likely to eat her up, in spite of all her coaxing. Hardly knowing what she's doing, she picks up a small stick and holds it out to the puppy, whereupon the puppy jumps into the air off all its feet at once with a yelp of delight and rushes at the stick, making out to worry it. And Alice dodges behind a great thistle to keep herself from being run over, and the moment she appears on the other side, the puppy makes another rush at the stick and tumbles head over heels in its enthusiasm to get hold of it. Then Alice, thinking it's very like having a game of play with a cart horse and expecting every moment to be trampled under its feet, runs round the thistle again. Then the puppy begins a series of short charges at the stick, running a little way forward each time and a long way back, and barking hoarsely all the while, till at last it sits down a good way off, panting, with its tongue hanging out of its mouth and its great eyes half shut. Alice takes the opportunity to make her escape and sets off at once, running until she's quite tired and out of breath, and the puppy's bark sounds quite faint in the distance. And yet what a dear little puppy it was, thinks Alice, leaning against a buttercup to rest and fanning herself with a leaf. I'd have liked to teach it tricks very much, if only I'd been the right size to do it. Oh dear, I nearly forgot that I need to grow up again. Let me see, how is it to be managed? I suppose I ought to eat or drink something or other, but the great question is, what? She looks all around her at the flowers and the blades of grass, but she doesn't see anything that looks like the right thing to eat or drink. There's a large mushroom growing nearby, about the same height as herself, and when she's looked under it and on both sides of it and behind it, it occurs to her that she might as well look and see what's on top of it. She stretches herself up on tiptoe and peeps over the edge of the mushroom, and her eyes immediately meet those of a large blue caterpillar that's sitting on the top with its arms folded, quietly smoking a long hookah, and taking not the least notice of her or of anything else.